Welcome to Pro Wrestling Report Primetime TV for November 16th, 2013. We look back at the week in wrestling TV from WWE and TNA in the highs and lows. Take a look at Bully Ray's invasion of the House of Hardcore event, explain why John Cena will be a major player on SmackDown going forward, and much more. But first, let's throw it over to David and Damian for this week's big story. Take it away, boys.
It is time for this week's big story, and it is a big invasion this past Saturday night in Poughkeepsie, New York. It was a House of Hardcore event. It was last Saturday night, actually, and after a match with Tommy Dreamer, who teamed with Terry Funk, TNA star Bully Ray attacked them both from behind and announced that TNA will be holding an old-school pay-per-view event in Poughkeepsie on December 30th. This will be taped as a one-night-only TNA pay-per-view.
How about that? Oh, so it's not going to be live?
No.
It's on a Saturday night?
Yes.
No. 27th they're doing a Thursday.
The 30th is a Sunday. No, the 30th is a Monday.
No, it's not. Can't be.
That's a Sunday.
Why
are you derailing me?
Go right ahead.
You just wanted some glory, some time there.
I get plenty of time.
Tick-tock.
Where's all my stuff?
Is going to take on Tommy Dreamer in a street fight with Falls Count Anywhere in that matchup. Now, in my opinion, this is a very smart move by TNA. It creates a link with a different audience. It was an unexpected treat for the 1,800 or so in attendance at that event. And they're taking these one-night only pay-per-views on the road. Is going to make them special. But the question is, will people buy them?
That's the thing. You got to wonder, will the House of Hardcore fans come out and support TNA Impact Wrestling? If they don't get at least a similar number in that same building, then it's a failure for Impact.
Yeah, I think it'll take a lot of effort to not get at least the same number. House of Hardcore is a brand. It's been built up. You got Bully Ray. This is buzzworthy. This was big for this to happen. Nobody expected it, and it's completely different from anything WWE would do.
And I agree, but here's the one problem.
What's that?
You are between Christmas and New Year's.
Yes.
Money's tight for people.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Is there a draw to Bully Ray versus Tommy Dreamer in a Falls Count Anywhere?
In Poughkeepsie, New York? Absolutely. And that's if it's not there, it has to be in Philadelphia. But keep in mind, they're going to be on the road in that area that entire week.
Yes, they've been doing a big northeast swing. Also, as I said, this is distinctly different from anything WWE will do, not what they have done, because remember there was an ECW kind of invasion thing in the past too. And while I'm not saying they've copied WWE, this is what TNA should be doing. These are the things they should be doing that set themselves apart from WWE, because this, again, as I said, I think it's exciting. It's got me interested.
Well, it's going to be exciting for the House of Hardcore fans, that audience. Tommy Dreamer's doing a hell of a job promoting his brand out there. They've had some great shows the last 3 that they've run. And, it's a make or break thing for TNA this year. They need this show to come off.
They do. It could be a business model that, and you take this on top of what they're doing with AJ Styles, Mexico, Japan. It's going to be a while before we see him with the TNA Championship, even though there's a tournament going on back in TNA Wrestling. They're branching out. Impact 365, hashtag Impact 365. While I find the frequency of the releases to be a bit excessive, I'm not sure their delivery methods as well are as good as they can be, by meaning, WWE, how many texts or updates do you get from them during the week when they do things and you get it via your phone, things of that nature. If you're not following TNA on Twitter or on YouTube, you don't see these updates, which is a shame because they are good and they are relevant to bridging week to week. So it's a good step. And if this step continues, if they continue on this path,
they could go forward.
They could move forward. This could be a game changer for TNA.
It very well could, and let's hope going into 2014 that they end at 2013 in the right direction.
Have you checked out any of the Impact 365 videos?
I've seen some of Robbie E stuff. Mm-hmm. I saw.
Did you see that new Little Caesars commercial Robbie E's in?
Yes, I did. I also saw the Miss Tessmacher video.
I'm sure you did.
Very interesting.
Did you have to pay for that? Extra?
No, it's on the PWR account.
I'm sure it is.
Yes.
What does TNA do next to continue this momentum? You said they must have success with this event in December, even though it has natural challenges. But what must they do next to continue
They need to have a new, strong TNA Impact World Champion ready for when AJ Styles returns to battle each other.
All right, well, that's this week's big story, ladies and gentlemen. Bully Ray invades Tommy Dreamer's House of Hardcore, and now there's a one-night stand, one night only pay-per-view coming as a result of it.
Are you
from
talking
TNA
about
Impact Wrestling.
That was last night, wasn't it? You did. I knew it. You didn't return my phone calls.
Sounds like TNA's on the right track. Share your comments on tonight's stories by following along on Twitter and using the hashtag PWRTV, and Damien and Dave will interact with you during the broadcast. Coming up after the break, we explain why John Cena will be a major player on SmackDown going forward, this week's hot news, and David Hero has this week's DHHS. But in just 90 seconds, we take a look at the highlights from the week in wrestling TV right here on My 24 Milwaukee.
Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh. PWR is coming for a huge Royal Rumble kickoff party featuring Big Sexy Kevin Nash. That's right, the night before the WWE Royal Rumble in Pittsburgh. Come to PWR's kickoff party featuring all kinds of shenanigans and Big Sexy Kevin Nash. Tickets available right now at PWRshow.com. PWRshow.com. The Royal Rumble kickoff party comes to Pittsburgh.
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report primetime Saturday night here on My 24 Milwaukee. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Octavius and Tiberius, the alleged backyard one-time knockout Divas Hardcore Hall of Famer hero.
Yes.
It's time for this week's TV highs, the highlights of wrestling TV from this past week. And I gotta say, the biggest thing that happened, of course, happened on the biggest show of the week, and that being WWE Raw Tag Team Bedlam Mayhem, a Pier 6 Donnybrook brawl, which was also a slobber knocker to end the show. You had the Usos, you had the Broads, you had the Shield, you had the Wyatts, and they wanted to fight. They wanted to fight. You felt that they wanted that fight, and it came off tremendously to end the show.
It feels almost like they're trying to bring back Edge and Christian, the Hardys, the Dudleys, APA. They're trying to bring back these dynamic tag teams that are now starting to end the show and have the best matches of the night.
It wasn't even a match, though. That's
what
a
I'm
great
saying
thing.
is it was just they're bringing excitement and something different. They're establishing newer stars.
It had the same feel as the pre-Royal Rumble Raw Battle Royal or not Battle Royal, but impromptu, whatever happens, where every star ends up in the ring at the end of the show. Obviously, it's a great way to sell the Royal Rumble, but it felt akin to that this past Monday night on Raw. Very, very well done. And I, for one, never thought I would be as intrigued as I was watching the Shield on one side of the ring and the Wyatts on the other wanting to fight.
It's just been a different dynamic because all of those teams, with the exception of the Broads and the Usos, which are the two brother tag teams, are the only true, they're the babyfaces. But the two heels, they'll fight anybody.
Yeah. You know what? I actually thought that the open of Raw was a high. Vicky Guerrero, Kane, and Brad Maddox.
Brad Maddox got one heck of a pop, didn't he?
Got a hell of a pop. Yes, I don't understand. He's not from the UK,
I
is he?
think he dresses British, though.
I don't even have to ask you what that means because I do actually understand it. I think he does.
He does.
But they had some good chemistry, I thought, this past Monday night to open up the show.
Well, you have Kane, you have Vicky, and Brad.
Excuse me!
Kane brings a different dynamic. He really
Is Vicky
does.
still the biggest heel in WWE?
She gets the most legit heel heat out of anybody in the company.
Anybody in the wrestling business right now?
Absolutely.
That's an amazing. And for years running, by the way.
Yes.
She has.
Yes.
Let's move on and continue on the highs from this week. Jack Swagger versus John Cena. That was a fantastic wrestling match.
Swagger has always been a good in-ring performer.
Absolutely.
Everyone, they knock him. He got in trouble, before WrestleMania. But every time Jack Swagger's been put in a match with whether it be John Cena or CM Punk or someone of that caliber, he always delivers.
He has a great talent. He's a former world heavyweight champion. We don't get a chance to see it enough, though, is the challenge.
No, not at all. But he's in a great tag team as well.
That he is. How about what we saw on all three shows across the board this past week on WWE programming? It was the Union Jacks, David Hero.
Those guys
Team 3MB.
They dress British.
Wearing the flag, wearing the Union
Jack. How
Jack.
do you get those kind of costumes made?
Party City.
Good God Almighty! I mean, it's just I got a headache watching it.
Another high as we move on along shows. Impact this past Thursday night. I don't understand how they're going to pull this off, but I'm intrigued by it. Joseph Park Esquire has challenged Abyss to a match next week.
It's going to be interesting, isn't it? Really. And you know what? Who knows? Maybe the winner of that match will then face Al Snow at Blizzard Brawl.
Perhaps.
You know, it could very well be.
But how do they pull that off? We've seen the two of them in the same. Well, there's no Easter Bunny.
No, but there is a Joseph Park and there is an Abyss.
But
you don't think it's the same? You think it's the same person?
I know it's the same person.
Come on. One has long hair. He's missing his teeth. The other
Kane
guy
had
has
long hair 2 weeks ago.
The other guy has a full set of teeth, short hair, glasses.
You're very familiar with cosmetic surgery, correct?
No.
You had that.
No, I'm not.
Also on Impact, Ken Anderson versus Bully Ray was announced for next week. And if Bully Ray loses, the Aces and Eights are disbanded.
There's only 2 left anyhow, right?
Nux and Bully. Oh, don't forget Garrett and Wes.
No, Wes has been gone for a while.
Has he?
Yeah, he's no longer in the backseat of the car. And, Garrett and Nux, that's it. And those guys can go off and be a tag team by themselves.
Did they drop the ball with the Aces and Eights, too?
No way, it went way too long.
Went too long.
Too long, absolutely.
Okay.
And you know what? Ken Anderson and Bully Ray should be a good match. It
will be. They had a tremendous matchup.
They did. And they need to keep that fire going.
That's this week's TV highs, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have the lows later in the broadcast.
So you really think that Joseph Park and Abyss are really the same guy?
Definitely lots of highs on this week's TV. Talk about tonight's show online with us on Twitter using the hashtag PWRTV, and Damien and Dave will continue to interact with you during the broadcast. Also, be sure to check out PWR Live every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central, streaming live at PWRshow.com. You even have a chance to call in and ask questions of the PWR team each week on PWR Live, Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. at PWRshow.com. Coming up after the break, we still have this week's TV lows, an explanation as to why John Cena will be a major player on SmackDown going forward, and much more. And David Hero has this week's DHHS and Diamond of the Ring. And in just 45 seconds, Damian Nelson has this week's hot news with info on a notable WWE release here on PWR Primetime TV on My 24 Milwaukee.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, the insurance company may try to stop you from getting what's fair.
After my car wreck, the insurance company just wasn't helping me, so I said stop, and I called Gruber Law Offices.
Be careful. Call us right away.
They better be careful. Now I've got Gruber Law Offices.
Call us. Let us get started on your case right now.
They put the green light on my case and got me $65,000.
Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. Call 276-6666.
Great Lakes Championship Wrestling presents Blizzard Brawl 9, Saturday night, December 7th at the Waukesha County Expo Center. See a triple threat match with Shane Helms, Matt Hardy, and Ken Anderson. WWE Hall of Famers Howard Finkel and Ron Simmons for a special appearance. The GLCW Championship, Al Snow versus Joseph Park. GLCW Tag Team Champions Demolition also in action. TNA Champion Robbie E has an open challenge and more. Special meet and greets. Tickets start at $10. BlizzardBrawl.com. BlizzardBrawl.com. Get your tickets now.
It's time for this week's hot news, ladies and gentlemen. It's all the headlines you need in around about 120 seconds or less for those of you scoring at home. Cassius Ohno, otherwise known as Chris Hero, has been released from his WWE developmental contract.
No relation to me, by the way.
Only one R in Chris.
Yeah, I'm the original. I have 2.
So you are old. He is relatively young, yes. So you would be the original. He has been released from his WWE developmental contract as he was working down in NXT. For those of you that don't know, Hero was formerly with Ring of Honor and had teamed with the star you now know as Antonio Cesaro. Hero recently took to his blog to speak about his release, saying, and I quote, "I do have a favor I'd like to ask of you. When things happen that we don't like, it's our instinct to look for answers. We get sad, we get mad. In this situation, there's nothing to be sad about. And rather than being angry about what has happened, I want you all to be happy about what's going to happen. I'll be back with a vengeance, I assure you. The best way to support me is with positive energy. Also, WWE and NXT is loaded with talented guys and girls. There's an overabundance of talent at that performance center that inspires me, some of which you have not seen yet. Those folks need your support just like I do, so make sure your voices are heard. Well put.
So he's telling us to be happy.
Yes, put on a happy face. Turn
Okay.
that frown
Upside down.
Chris Hero, Castrisono, there had been talk about his developmental process not going as WWE may have hoped down in NXT, where he's been for quite a while. A big hero, a big star, pun intended there, I guess, in Ring of Honor Wrestling. What's next for Chris Hero?
It just shows how hard it is to make it to that main roster.
Yeah.
With all the talent that they bring in, and there's 75 to 100 people at times in that building waiting for their call. Chris Hero was one of the favorites. Didn't quite get there yet.
We'll see what happens. We'll keep you up to date with developments on this story and other stories as they become available. That's it for this week's hot news. It's now time to find out who got this week's accolades and honor in the Diamond of the Ring. David, take it away.
This week's Robert Hack Diamond of the Ring is the only Olympian gold medalist in all of professional wrestling. Kurt Angle had an outstanding match with Austin Aries on Impact on Thursday night and was able to get the victory via submission, showing the world once again that Kurt Angle is the machine. He is the robot. He can still go. This week's Robert Hack Diamond of the Ring, the place where they pay cash for gold, is Kurt Angle.
Did you ever get a chance to see The Hangover Part 3? I agree with Kurt Angle, by the way.
No, I have not.
No?
I don't watch
There's a whole
those.
cash
I don't
for gold
watch those
scene.
kind of movies.
What kind of movies? Comedies?
I watch funny ha-ha.
R-rated comedies?
Funny ha-has.
I think The Hangover qualifies as a funny ha-ha.
Is it?
So you enjoy the movie Goodfellas, Casino,
I've never seen it.
where the funny ha-ha line came from?
No.
So you do just steal off of Wikipedia.
No, I don't. What? That's for real?
Funny ha-ha, yes. What do you mean funny? You think I'm funny? Funny how? Funny ha-ha? Like
You're
funny
not
ha?
funny at all. I'm
Let's
the
go
guy
to
that does
Linda
all
with
the
this
funny
week's
ha-ha stuff
event
around
center.
here.
Linda, take it away.
Welcome to the PWR Event Center, brought to you by Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. Ring of Honor Wrestling is returning to Milwaukee's Turner Hall on March 7th, 2014. Tickets just went on sale and are available now at rohwrestling.com. The countdown is on as we are just a few weeks away from Blizzard Brawl 9. The event will be held at the Waukesha County Expo Center and will feature appearances by WWE Hall of Famers Ron Simmons and Howard Finkel, along with Al Snow defending his GLCW championship against Impact Wrestling's Joseph Park, with Armando Estrada as the special guest to referee. A portion of the Blizzard Brawl 9 proceeds will benefit the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, and you can get your tickets now for the December 7th event online at blizzardbrawl.com. The PWR team is coming to Pittsburgh for the 2014 WWE Royal Rumble, along with Big Sexy Kevin Nash. In addition to live coverage of the Royal Rumble, PWR will host a special event with Big Sexy Kevin Nash as part of the big weekend. All the details can be found at pwrshow.com, and we'll see you at the Royal Rumble. That's it for this week's Event Center presented by Gruber Law Offices. And now let's find out what Ardo's got for us in this week's The Little Things.
Thanks a lot, guys. Here I am at the Rogers Center, formerly known as the Sky Dome, the home of WrestleMania 6 and 18. And take a look. There's a mural in gold, and one of those figures is a professional wrestler. There he is, top right. Hashtag the little things. A little bit of a change. I'm moving, so I packed the camera. I probably should have kept that out for this segment. Hashtag the little things. So I'm doing this on my iPhone. From Raw in England. You know how I know Tyson Kidd and Fandango are wrestling fans? Because they recreate the finish to the main event of SummerSlam 92, Bret Hart versus the British Bulldog. Sunset flip, hooks the legs, reversal, 1, 2, 3, new Intercontinental Champion, but instead Fandango wins on Raw. Another thing I enjoyed was that Seth Rollins gets beat up by CM Punk in that match, and then he cowers to his corner, tags in the much bigger Roman Reigns. Hashtag the little things. Follow me on Twitter at Arda_Ocal. Roman Reigns.
Well, from little things to bigger things, thank you, Arda. TNA Impact Wrestling has invested in a new young talent, Ethan Carter III, or EC3, the nephew of TNA President Dixie Carter. EC3 is a good-looking, brash, and obnoxious young stud formerly seen in WWE NXT. Since his debut at Bound for Glory, EC3 has defeated the same two guys week in and week out, and even beat both of them in a handicap match on this last Thursday show. I really believe this kid has the tool set to become a star in TNA, but is lacking the details. Why wouldn't TNA's Dixie send a publicist, security, or even a photog to the ring with her nephew to give him that larger-than-life personality that makes the fans truly want to dislike this kid that was born with a platinum spoon in his mouth? Wrestling has always been about characters and gimmicks. They have the character in EC3. Now give him the gimmicks needed to make him more than just a guy that beats local enhancement talent every week. And with that being said, David Hero has spoken.
Wow, Dave, some praise for TNA. Coming up after the break, we have the lowlights of the week's wrestling shows, and we take a look at the real reason John Cena won the World Championship in the countout. We round out this week's episode of PWR Primetime TV in just over 60 seconds right here on My 24 Milwaukee.
Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh. PWR is coming for a huge Royal Rumble kickoff party featuring Big Sexy Kevin Nash. That's right, the night before the WWE Royal Rumble in Pittsburgh. Come to PWR's kickoff party featuring all kinds of shenanigans and Big Sexy Kevin Nash. Tickets available right now at PWRshow.com. PWRshow.com. The Royal Rumble kickoff party comes to Pittsburgh.
Time for this week's count out, ladies and gentlemen, and well, John Cena is the subject, as is SmackDown in the World Heavyweight Championship. John Cena won the World Heavyweight Championship at Hell in a Cell on pay-per-view and then proclaimed the next night on Raw that he would be appearing regularly on the Friday Night Delight known as SmackDown.
He has to. It's their brand's champion.
John Cena is, of course, the biggest star in WWE, and the success of this move have almost been immediate with SmackDown ratings increases. Zap2it.com reports that last Friday's edition of SmackDown averaged 2.946 million viewers, which is up about 230,000 viewers from the previous week. Now, it should be noted, there was no competition from the National Basketball Association, as there had been.
There are no competition.
And that is...
Basketball fans and wrestling fans aren't that similar.
More people are watching SmackDown because John Cena's there. David Hero, you said Cena winning the World Heavyweight Championship was a move to, quote-unquote, save SmackDown. Do tell.
Absolutely. They have to save SmackDown because right now SmackDown, the live events, their house shows, their televised events, are not drawing the crowds that they used to be. Attendance has been down 25 to 30%, if not more, in certain markets. They need John Cena, the biggest star in the entire company, to be there to help generate revenue, sell tickets, and merchandise.
That could be the most concise thing you've ever said.
He's the go-to guy.
Does it show a larger challenge in WWE?
Yes. You know, what it shows is that they don't have that crossover appeal with anybody else on the roster.
Anybody? Orton?
No. Randy Orton?
Daniel Bryan?
No.
Big Show?
Maybe a little bit, but if you look at Daniel Bryan, if you look at CM Punk, if you look at Randy Orton, you look at Dolph Ziggler, as talented as they are as in-ring performers, they're not polished the way John Cena is. They don't have that charm where they can come over and take over a room.
No knock on them?
No, it's just how they're wired.
It's much like you made this point several times in the past. If we go down, let's go back into the annals of time in the history books. That guy, Bruno Sammartino, was that guy. Hulk Hogan was that guy. Steve Austin was that guy. The Rock was that guy. Shawn Michaels was that guy.
Shawn Michaels was that guy, but let's not forget some of the worst ratings in the history of wrestling was when Shawn Michaels was the champion.
Hulk Hogan, of course, was that guy.
Larger-than-life personality.
Goldberg was that guy.
John Cena walks into a room, he's big, jacked, good-looking guy. He looks like a world champion.
Well, that's this week's count out, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's take a look at where things stand in the draft, David Hero, the Pro Wrestling Report draft. You're up by 5 points.
Am I?
Somehow.
Yes!
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report, primetime Saturday night, ladies and gentlemen, for Saturday, November 16th.
I'm making notes.
2013. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Hero. It's time for this week's TV lows, the low points in wrestling broadcast this week. And one thing I just don't get, why and how Could Triple H and Stephanie McMahon have been on vacation with all the turmoil in their company this past Monday night on Raw?
The weather's not that good over there right now.
So they were on vacation by staying here in the States?
No, I think they were like in Bermuda or somewhere like that, somewhere nice.
So they should have been on the program, especially with as much as they were talked about. Or did they do the things they needed to do without them so that they can come and clean house or fix things next week?
Or, you know what, or maybe that there was concern that Triple H would be cheered overseas.
That's a good point, David Hero. Cena was booed.
Exactly. Well, but Cena's not involved with Triple H.
No, but I'm just saying, comparatively speaking, Cena got...
You know what's interesting? You know, speaking about Triple H, Daniel Bryan, he now pulls his hair back in a ponytail. If he would have done that back in August...
Dress himself up in Chanel?
If he would have done that back in August and looked a little more clean...
Oh, this ought to be good.
Maybe he could have been the face. But he had to have all that
not.
wigwam nonsense
You're
going
wrong.
up there.
He had to create a look. He had to give himself distinction. He gave himself distinction to be a character, to be larger than life, to be a star.
But he didn't want to change his hair when they asked, but now he does it when he gets dropped down to mid-card.
We're going to talk about that next week, okay? Next week, we're doing a feature story, an in-depth look at the big, WWE's transition back to the big stars.
But you know I'm right.
The company. I didn't say anything about you being right or wrong. I just
say I'm
simply
wrong either.
threw it at what we're going to talk about next week so that you didn't go off on a tangent and we don't get to our next TV low,
week,
which is the Total Divas inclusion in the Tyson Kidd / Fandango angle, if you will. Look, folks, it's scripted. Total Divas is scripted.
What?
This is making that point so crystal clear that the reality show on E is scripted just like WWE. This was their programming. This was their challenge with the XFL. That's why they got no credibility with the XFL, because everybody said it's McMahon, it's WWE, it's scripted.
The next thing you're going to tell me is Duck Dynasty is scripted also.
Of course it is.
What?
All reality shows are scripted.
Psy is...
I have never watched an episode of that program before in my life. And you know the story about the Duck Dynasty? Have you read the books?
They have books?
They have books. They have an industry. They have an empire.
Yeah, they're making millions of dollars. And you're saying it's all fake?
I didn't say fake. I did not use the word fake.
You said scripted.
Scripted. That's different.
Okay.
We're a reality show. We're not even scripted. We just have control points by which we have to hit.
Well, you hit a lot of points. Not me.
I like seeing Tyson Kidd back on WWE television, though.
He's very talented.
He's a very talented person. But
They're
I
trying to
can't
give him an
buy that
edge.
there's jealousy because Fandango's working a match with Natalya, and then in the other ring over at the Performance Center, Tyson Kidd's working a match with, was it Ava? I mean, come on. That doesn't really exist.
It's wrestling. Of course it does.
I didn't like Big E Langston tapping out to Alberto Del Rio this past Monday night.
He had to tap out to ADR.
Why?
Because they have to get over how powerful that arm breaker is. One of the strongest guys in the company is Big E Langston. He taps. Shows that, hey, John Cena with the injured arm might tap also if Big E Langston did.
All right, well,
It's
that's
laying groundwork. I didn't like the arm wrestling match on SmackDown. Are you kidding me? Is this the 1980s? Is it Patera versus, Hulk Hogan, or Jesse the Body versus Tony Atlas?
You remember those things, though. I remember Dino Bravo on Wrestling Challenger Superstars doing the bench press contest. Those things are memorable.
Yeah, but not anymore. It was a different time.
That's it for this week's broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. As we said, next week
done?
I'll be the booker for WWE SummerSlam, and we'll be looking in-depthly at the fall of CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, and Dolph Ziggler, and the rise of Big Show, Randy Orton, and John Cena. That next week right here on the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime. In the meantime and in between time, we'll see you on Twitter at PWR Show, on Facebook, facebook.com/PWR Show, and on YouTube, youtube.com/.
And don't forget, hashtag PWR TV.
At David Hero. We'll see you next week, ladies and gentlemen.